Something brand new, incredibly powerful, and with some serious range has just been used for the first time by the US military. It's called the PrSM, and its arrival really marks a major shift in battlefield capability. So what is this thing and why is it such a big deal? Let's dive in. And yeah, this isn't some rumor or a secret test run. This is the official word coming right from the top. That's Admiral Brad Cooper, the head of US Central Command. When he puts out a statement like this, highlighting innovation, creating dilemmas for the enemy, you know something significant has just happened.
And here it is, the big news itself. U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, has officially confirmed it. The Precision Strike Missile, the PSM, has been used in combat for the very first time. This isn't some weapon of the future anymore. It's here, and it's active on the battlefield right now. Okay, so this all brings us to the two big questions we're going to tackle in this explainer. What exactly is this new missile, and why is its first ever use so important that it's grabbing headlines all over the world? All right, let's start with the basics. We're going to deconstruct this thing and see what it's all about. So at its core, the PrSM is a surface-to-surface ballistic missile. Simple enough, right? It's fired from the ground, it flies in a high arc through the atmosphere, and it comes down on a target that's also on the ground. But the keywords you really want to focus on here are distant targets and high precision. This weapon is all about hitting specific high-value targets from very, very far away.
Let's run through the specs here. First, the range is officially over 499 kilometers. We'll get to why that number is so specific in a bit. Now, this next part is absolutely crucial. It works with the same HIMARS and MLRS launchers the Army already has. That's a huge logistical win. Of course, it's got advanced guidance to make sure it hits its mark, and it has what's called an open system design, which is just a fancy way of saying it's built to be easily upgraded down the road. It's future-proof. Oh, and that last point, insensitive munitions, basically means its warhead is way more stable and safer to handle right up until the moment it's supposed to go boom.
Okay, so we've got the what. Now let's get to the why. Why is everyone calling this thing a game changer? How exactly does this missile upgrade what the U.S. Army can do on the ground?
Well, the best way to really get a sense of this upgrade is to put the PrSM right next to the missile it's replacing, the old ATACMS. And I mean, look at this table. The difference is just stark. The PrSM dramatically extends the Army's reach, and, as we're about to see, it literally doubles its firepower.
This chart just paints the picture perfectly, doesn't it? This is the first major leap. The maximum range jumps from around 300 kilometers with the old ATACMS to over 499 with the new PSM. That's a massive increase, well over 60%. It means commanders can now hit targets much, much deeper behind enemy lines, all while keeping their launchers a lot safer.
But it's not just about the range. This right here is the other part of the 1-2 punch. See, a single launch pod on a HIMARS or an MLRS truck could only fit one of the old, bulky ATACMS missiles. That very same pod can now carry 2 of the new PrSMs. You're doubling the firepower of every single launcher on the battlefield. That's huge. Now, a weapon with this kind of range, it doesn't just appear out of nowhere. There's always a story. So let's zoom out from the battlefield tech and look at the major international policy shift that even made a weapon like the PrSM possible in the first place. And here's the real kicker. For over 3 years, a missile with this exact capability, a land-launched missile with a range of over 500 kilometers, was essentially prohibited for the United States. It would have been banned under a landmark arms control treaty that just doesn't exist anymore. This timeline really tells the whole story. Back in 1987, at the height of the Cold War, the US and the Soviet Union signed the INF Treaty. That treaty banned all land-based missiles with ranges between 500 and 5,500 kilometers. Now, fast forward to 2019. The United States officially withdraws from that treaty. And what happens next? Well, just a few years later, in December 2023, the first PrSMs are delivered. And now, they're being used. The connection here is direct. It's undeniable. The collapse of that treaty basically opened the door. It gave the Pentagon the green light to develop and deploy this whole new class of weapon. Without that political move back in 2019, the PrSM as we know it today simply wouldn't exist. So let's just quickly recap the key things to remember here. First, this powerful new missile, the PrSM, isn't a what-if anymore. It is officially on the battlefield. Second, it's a massive upgrade, giving U.S. forces way more range and double the firepower compared to what they had before. And finally, you can draw a straight line from politics to pavement. This weapon is a direct result of the end of the Cold War-era INF Treaty.
And all of this leaves us with one final and pretty crucial question. The INF Treaty, it acted as a kind of guardrail for over 30 years, setting limits on what was possible. Now that those limits are gone and weapons like the PSRM are here, what does the future of warfare even look like?